Before we dive in, drop a comment with the city you're watching from. Let's see where this story travels. A CEO hid his title to blend in, but one lunch break at a small-town diner changed everything. When he met a woman who saw through the noise, their connection sparked a love that rewrote his world, and it might just touch yours too. The diner on the edge of Ashwood, Ohio, smelled like coffee and grease, a mix that hit Walter Grayson like a warm hug every time he walked in. He pushed through the glass door, the bell jingling above, and slid into a booth by the window, his navy jacket slung over the seat. No suit today, just jeans, a flannel shirt, and a baseball cap pulled low. At 52, he'd learned how to blend in, a trick he'd picked up since taking the helm at Horizon Tech 5 years ago. Back in Columbus, he was a name on a glass door, a face on quarterly reports. Here, 30 miles out, he was just Walt, a guy grabbing lunch, and that's how he liked it. He'd been coming to Marge's diner for months, sneaking away from boardrooms and emails for an hour of quiet. The place was a relic, checkered floor, vinyl booths, a jukebox that hadn't worked since the 90s. Nobody knew him here, and that was the point. No assistants buzzing, no investors pitching, just coffee and a burger, maybe a slice of pie if Marge was in a good mood. He pulled a worn paperback from his pocket, some old detective novel, and flipped it open, though his eyes drifted to the window, watching the slow roll of Main Street. The bell jingled again, and he glanced up. A woman walked in, mid-40s maybe, her dark hair streaked with gray and pulled into a loose bun. She wore a faded green coat, a canvas bag slung over her shoulder, and moved with a tired grace, like someone who'd carried a lot but hadn't quit. She slid into the counter stool 3 seats down from his booth, dropping her bag with a soft thud. "Hey, Marge," she called, her voice warm but worn. Marge, round and graying, poked her head out from the kitchen. "Ellen, been a minute, usual?" "Usual's fine," Ellen said, smiling faint. "Extra coffee if you've got it." "Always," Marge said, disappearing. Walter watched over his book, curious despite himself. Ellen pulled a notebook from her bag, scribbling fast, her brow furrowed. She muttered something, crossed it out, then sighed, rubbing her temples. He knew that look, stress, the kind that gnaws quiet but deep. He'd seen it in boardrooms, felt it himself too many nights. His burger came, greasy, perfect, and he set the book down, taking a bite. Ellen's coffee arrived, steam curling up, and she wrapped her hands around the mug like it was a lifeline. She caught him looking, just for a second, and their eyes met, hers hazel, sharp, carrying a story he couldn't read. He nodded, quick, polite, and went back to his food, but the air shifted, a spark he didn't expect. She spoke first, her voice cutting the diner's hum. "That a good one?" She nodded at his book, her tone light but real, like she meant it. He blinked, caught off guard. Yeah, not bad. Old mystery, keeps me out of trouble." He smirked, setting it down. "You read much?" "When I can," she said, sipping her coffee. "Lately it's just bills and grocery lists, less thrilling." Her smile was small, but it lit her face, softening the tired lines. He chuckled, rough. "Know that feeling, paperwork's a killer. You work around here." She hesitated, her fingers tightening on the mug. "Used to library, till they cut hours. Now it's odd jobs, whatever pays." "You." "Just passing through," he said, smooth, dodging like always. "Fix things machinery, mostly." A lie, but close enough. He'd fixed plenty, mergers, stocks, crises, just not with wrenches. "Handy," she said, her eyes narrowing, playful. "Bet you've got stories, machines don't break quiet." "Some," he said, grinning. "But I'm boring, bet you've got better ones." "Library sounds peaceful." "Was," she said, her voice dropping. "Miss it, books, kids, the quiet. Now it's hustle, you know? Gotta keep the lights on." He nodded, slow, her words sinking in. Hustle. He knew it, not her kind, Not rent and groceries, but the kind that kept him up at 3 a.m., numbers spinning, deals teetering. Yeah, he said, soft. Lights don't stay on easy. Marge slid a plate in front of Ellen, grilled cheese, fries, nothing fancy. She picked at it, her notebook open, scribbling again. Walter watched, his burger half forgotten. Something about her, real, unguarded, pulled at him. He'd met hundreds of people, suits, sharks, all playing angles. She wasn't playing anything, just here, raw and steady. You writing a novel? He asked, nodding at her notebook, keeping it light. She laughed, short and warm. God, no job apps. Gotta sound fancy without lying. Tough balance. Know that game, he said, leaning forward. Say you're a team player, works every time. She smirked, flipping a page. Team player, huh? I'm more keeps the chaos from eating everyone alive. Think that'll sell? Hell yeah, he said, chuckling. I'd hire you, chaos tamers rare. Her eyes met his again, sharper this time, like she saw through the flannel and cap. Careful, she said, playful. Might take you up on that, need all the help I can get. He grinned, the spark flaring brighter. Deal, name your price. Coffee and a nap, she said, deadpan. Non-negotiable. Done, he said, raising his mug like a toast. She laughed a real, unguarded, and the diner felt smaller, warmer, like the world had shrunk to just them. Marge called from the counter, breaking the spell. Ellen, you want pie? Got cherry left. Twist my arm, Ellen said, smiling. She glanced at Walter. You in? Marge's pie's worth it. He hesitated, his usual instinct to bolt kicking in keep it simple, stay unknown. But her smile, her ease, held him there. Yeah, he said, surprising himself. Cherry's my thing. Marge brought 2 slices, the crust flaky, the filling tart and sweet. They ate in companionable quiet, the notepad between them, her scribbles a map of a life he didn't know but wanted to. So, she said, licking a bit of pie off her fork, you fix machines, what's the toughest break you've seen? He paused, the lie teetering. Toughest break wasn't a machine, it was him, 10 years back, divorce papers signed, his daughter barely speaking. Old tractor, he said, dodging again. Rusted out, thought it was done. Took weeks, but we got it running. She nodded, slow, like she heard more than he said. Some things are worth fixing, she said, her voice soft. Even when they're a mess. Yeah, he said, his throat tight. Even then. The bell jingled, new folks coming in, breaking the moment. Ellen checked her watch, sighing. Gotta run shift at the market starts soon. She grabbed her bag, leaving a few bills by her plate. Nice talking, Walt. Don't let that book get you in trouble. Likewise, he said, smirking. Good luck with the apps. Chaos Damer's a lock. She grinned, heading out, the door swinging shut behind her. The diner felt empty without her, the hum duller. He finished his pie, slow, her words circling. Some things are worth fixing. He pulled the notepad from his pocket, scribbling fast. Ellen, Chaos Tamer. Back in the car, Mike glanced over. Long lunch, boss, he said, starting the engine. Good pie. Yeah, Trump said, staring out. Real good, different though. The notepad burned in his pocket, Ellen's laugh stuck in his head, warm, real, raw. He'd built a life on control, schedules, deals, distance. Today, for an hour, he'd let it slip, and it didn't scare him, not much. The drive back to Columbus was quiet, the highway stretching gray and steady. He didn't check his phone, didn't call the office, just let her voice settle, a whisper louder than the boardroom's buzz. He didn't know where it'd go, not yet, but it was there, small and solid, and he wasn't brushing it off. The Horizon Tech office in Columbus thrummed with its usual rhythm, keyboards clacking, phones buzzing, glass walls reflecting the sharp November light. Walter Grayson sat at his corner desk on the top floor, the city sprawling below like a map he'd memorized. At 52, he was a fixture here, CEO, steady hand, the guy who kept the ship afloat through buyouts and tech crashes. Today, though, his focus was off, his laptop open to a report he hadn't read. The notepad sat tucked in his drawer, Ellen, Chaos Tamer, scribbled in his uneven hand. Her voice from Marge's diner, yesterday looping in his head, warm, real, unguarded. He leaned back, rubbing his temples, the hum of the office fading. That hour in Ashwood had stuck with him, Ellen's laugh, her tired smile, the way she'd said some things are worth fixing, like she knew more than she let on. He'd spent years dodging real, kept it clean, controlled, no mess. Divorced a decade ago, his daughter Claire barely calling, he'd buried himself in work, built walls nobody breached. But Ellen's hazel eyes, her easy talk, had slipped through, quiet but sharp, like a crack in the concrete. His phone buzzed, Lila, his assistant, with a meeting reminder. Board at 2, budget review. Need anything? He typed back, good hold calls till then. He stood, pacing to the window, the skyline glittering cold and hard. Ashwood was 30 miles out, small, worn, nothing like this. Ellen's life, odd jobs, library cuts, hustle, felt a world away, but it pulled at him, a thread he couldn't cut. He'd lied to her, fixed things, machinery, and it didn't sit right. Not guilt, exactly, but an itch he hadn't felt in years. The door clicked, Lila stepping in with a stack of folders and a coffee. Morning, Walt, she said, setting them down. You're quiet today, everything okay? At 45, Lila knew him better than most, sharp, no nonsense, but warm when it counted. Yeah, he said, turning from the window. Just thinking. Took a drive yesterday, Ashwood. Diner out there. Ashwood. She raised an eyebrow, smirking. You slumming it now? What's the draw, pie or people? He chuckled. Rough. Both, maybe. Met someone, Ellen. Real. Talked books, jobs, life. Got me off balance. Lila's smirk softened, her eyes narrowing. Off balance? That's new. Usually you're a vault. She's special. Dunno, he said, honest, sinking into his chair. Just different. Said she's hustling, library shut her out. Odd jobs now. Tough, but not broken. Reminds me, he stopped, the words catching. His ex-wife, Susan, came back, strong, steady, till life cracked her too. He hadn't seen it then, not till it was too late. Reminds you what? Lila pressed, sitting across, her coffee steaming between them. He shrugged, dodging. Just a people keep going, you know? She's got that. Wrote her name down, he tapped the drawer. Chaos Tamer, she called herself. Fits. Lila grinned, leaning back. Chaos Tamer, love it. You going back? Pie's good, but people stick. Maybe, he said, smirking faint. No plan, just. Stuck with me. Said some things are worth fixing. Hit hard. Fixing, she said, nodding slow. Sounds like her, not you. You're Mr. Control. Don't fix, just build. He grunted, the truth stinging. Control was his game, schedules, deals, no loose ends. Ellen wasn't controlled. She was real, messy, alive. Yeah, he muttered, maybe. Been calling Claire, she's not picking up. Makes you think what you miss. Lila's eyes softened, knowing Claire was a sore spot. 24, out in Seattle, barely speaking since the divorce. She'll come around, she said, standing. Keep trying, small stuff adds up. Like diners. Small stuff, he echoed, smirking rough. You're too smart, Lila. Get out of here. Always, she said, heading out, the door clicking shut. He opened the drawer, pulling out the notepad. Ellen, Chaos Tamer. Her laugh came back, short, warm, real, cutting through the office hum. He flipped it closed, standing, pacing back to the window. Columbus stretched out, a kingdom he'd built, tech, wealth, power. But yesterday, for an hour, he'd been Walt, not Walter Grayson, CEO, and it felt lighter. He grabbed his phone, scrolling to Claire's number. No answer, voicemail again. "Hey, kid," he said, voice rough. "Just checking in, miss you. Call when you can." He hung up, the silence heavy. Ellen's words drifted in, "Gotta keep the lights on." Claire, Susan, now Ellen, lives he hadn't fixed, cracks he hadn't seen. The door buzzed, Lila again, peeking in. Forgot to mention, community grants up for review. Ashwood's on the list, library funding, small stuff. Want me to push it? He froze, Ellen's face flashing notebook, job apps, hustle. "Yeah," he said, quick. "Push itty fast. No noise, just do it." Lila raised an eyebrow, smirking. "No noise? You're full of surprises." "Done. Budget's tight, but I'll make it work." "Thanks," he said, sinking back into his chair as she left. The notepad sat there, a quiet weight, and he flipped it open again. Ellen, Chaos Tamer. He didn't know why, didn't plan it, but he wanted to see her, hear her no more. Not a suit, not a CEO, just Walt, the guy with a book and a burger. He grabbed his coat, texting Mike, "Lunch run, Ashwood, noon." The reply came fast. "Pie again? You're hooked." He smirked, typing back, "Something like that, move it." He slipped the notepad in his pocket, the office hum fading as he headed for the elevator. The doors slid shut, and he stood there, alone, the quiet pressing in. Ellen's voice came back, "Some things are worth fixing," and it hit harder now, steady and real. The drive to Ashwood was smooth, the highway rolling gray under a cloudy sky. Mike kept it light, jokes about pie, small-town charm, but Walter barely heard him, his mind on her. He didn't know what he'd say, didn't have a plan, just a pull, raw and new, like a road he'd never taken. Marge's diner came into view, the bell jingling as he walked in. The same booth was open, and he slid into it, pulling out his book. Marge spotted him, grinning. "Back for more, Walt?" "Pie's apple today." "Yeah," he said, smirking. "Keep it coming." He glanced around. Ellen wasn't there, not yet. His chest tightened, a mix of hope and nerves he hadn't felt since he was a kid. He opened the book, the words blurring, her laugh echoing, warm, real, worth chasing. The bell jingled, and he looked up, heart kicking. A couple walked in, not her. He settled back, the notepad warm in his pocket, and waited. The quiet held him, small and solid, and for once, he didn't fight it, just let it stay, whispering louder than the life he'd built. The Ashwood diner hummed with its usual midday rhythm, plates clinking, coffee brewing, Marge's laugh cutting through the chatter. Walter Grayson sat in his booth by the window, the same one he'd claimed twice now, his paperback open but unread on the table. The notepad rested in his jacket pocket, Ellen, Chaos Tamer, a quiet weight against his chest. It was Thursday, 2 days since he'd met her here, and the pull hadn't faded, her voice, warm and worn, still looped in his head, steady like a heartbeat he couldn't ignore. At 52, he'd built a life on plans, horizon tech, boardrooms, control, but this, whatever it was, had no map, and he didn't hate it. He sipped his coffee, black and bitter, scanning the door every time the bell jingled. Marge had grinned when he walked in. "Walt, you're a regular now," and slid a burger his way, no questions. He liked that about Ashwood, nobody pried, nobody knew he was Walter Grayson, CEO, the guy who signed $1 million deals. Here, he was just Walt, book in hand, waiting for a woman he barely knew but couldn't shake. Ellen's laugh, short, real, kept coming back. Her words, "Some things are worth fixing," hitting deeper each time he turned them over. The bell rang, and he looked up, heart kicking. A trucker stomped in, not her. He settled back, flipping the book's pages, the words a blur. Yesterday's call with Lila replayed, Ashwood's library grant, pushed through quiet, no noise. He'd done it for Ellen, or maybe for himself, a nod to her hustle, job apps, odd shifts, keeping the lights on. He didn't know her story, not really, but he wanted to more than he'd wanted anything in years. The door jingled again, and there she was, Ellen, her green coat a little frayed, canvas bag slung over her shoulder, dark hair loose today, gray streaks catching the light. She moved with that same tired grace, sliding onto a counter stool, her smile faint but warm as she waved at Marge. "Hey," she called, voice steady. "Got any soup today?" "Tomato," Marge shot back, poking her head out. "Extra coffee?" "Always," Ellen said, pulling her notebook from the bag. Walter watched, his burger untouched, a grin tugging at his lips. She scribbled fast, same as before job apps. He'd bet, her brow furrowed, muttering soft. He wanted to speak, say something easy, but his throat tightened, nerves he hadn't felt since he was a kid chasing his first crush. He cleared his throat, loud enough to carry. "Back for more chaos taming?" She turned, hazel eyes locking on him, surprise softening into a smile. "Walt, didn't see you there." "Chaos never stops. Thought you'd be fixing tractors by now." Her tone was playful, real, cutting the diner's hum like sunlight through fog. He chuckled, leaning forward. "Tractors take a break. Thought I'd get pie instead." "You writing another bestseller?" He nodded at her notebook, keeping it light. "Hardly," she said, laughing short. "Applications. Gotta sound like a visionary without lying." "Tough gig." She sipped her coffee, the mug dwarfing her hands. "You sticking around Ashwood? Or just passing through again?" He hesitated, the lie machinery passing through, teetering. "Got some time," he said, dodging smooth. "Like the quiet beats the city grind." "You born here?" "Lived here 20 years," she said, her voice dropping. "Came after college, thought it'd be temporary. Kid's life, you know, plans change." She paused, her smile fading. "You got family?" His chest tightened, Claire's face flashed, her voice cold on the last call, months back. "Yeah," he said, slow. "Daughter, grown, out west. Not much for talking these days." Ellen nodded, steady, like she heard the weight. "Kids do that, go their way. Mine's in Cleveland, nurse, busy. Miss her, but she's good." Her eyes flicked to the notebook, then back to him. "Family's messy, worth it though." "Messy," he echoed, smirking faint. "Yeah, good word for it." "You always this wise, or just with coffee?" "Coffee helps," she said, grinning. "But I've had practice. Library taught me plenty. People, stories, messes, same thing." He leaned back, her ease pulling him in. "Library sounds like chaos central. Bet you ran it tight." "Hardly," she said, laughing warm. "Kept it together barely. Missed the kids most. Story hour, their faces. Now it's closed half the week, budget cuts." Her voice dipped, raw for a second, then steadied. "Gotta keep moving, though lights don't pay themselves." He nodded, slow, her hustle hitting close. Budget cuts. He'd pushed that grant yesterday, Lila moving it fast. He wanted to tell her, say it'd help, but the lie, Walt, not Walter, stopped him. "Tough break," he said, honest. "Sounds like you're worth more than they know." She raised an eyebrow, playful. "Careful, flattery's dangerous." "You'll owe me pie." "Deal," he said, grinning wide. "Marge, 2 apples on me." Marge slid the plates over, the crust golden, steam curling up. They ate in quiet, the diner's hum wrapping around them, forks scraping, coffee pouring, life steady and small. Ellen licked a crumb off her lip, smirking. "Your trouble, Walt, pie's my weakness." "Trouble's my middle name," he said, winking rough. "What's yours?" "Ellen Trouble Bennett," she shot back, laughing. "Don't test me, I've tamed worse." He laughed real, deep, a sound he hadn't heard from himself in years. The notepad burned in his pocket, her name a weight he liked carrying. He wanted more, her stories, her mess, her light, but the lie nagged, a crack in the wall he'd built. Fix things machinery. "Not true, not all of it." She checked her watch, sighing. "Gotta run, market shift." "Thanks for the pie, next one's on me." She grabbed her bag, notebook tucked inside, and stood. "Count on it," he said, meeting her eyes. "See you around. Chaos Tamer." "Better believe it," she said, grinning, the bell jingling as she left. The diner dimmed without her, the hum flatter, his pie half-eaten. He pulled the notepad out, adding below her name, "Worth fixing." Back at Horizon, the office buzzed, meetings, emails, the usual grind. Lila caught him at his desk, folders in hand. "Ashwood grants through," she said, smirking. "Library's back, small, but real. You going soft, Walt?" "Nah," he said, smirking back. "Just balancing." "You talked to Claire?" "Tried," she said, softer. "Left a message she's busy. You know how it is." "Yeah," he said, his throat tight. "Keep trying small stuff, right?" "Right," she said, heading out. He opened the notepad, staring at Ellen's name. Chaos Tamer. Worth fixing. Her laugh came back, warm, real, cracking his wall wider. He'd lied, Walt, not Walter, and it didn't sit right, not with her. But telling the truth, CEO, power, distance, risked this, whatever it was, small and unsteady but alive. He grabbed his phone, texting Mike, "Ashwood tomorrow, lunch. Keep it quiet." Mike shot back, "Pie guy now?" "Hooked bad." Walter smirked, typing, "You drive, I eat. Move it." He stood, pacing to the window, Columbus glittering below his world, controlled, cold. Ellen's world, Ashwood, hustle, warmth, pulled harder, a road he didn't know but wanted to take. The day dragged, meetings, numbers, noise he barely heard. Ellen's voice stayed, "Gotta keep the lights on, steady, real, worth more than the deals on his desk." He didn't get it, not all the way, but it was growing, a quiet he didn't push, whispering louder than the life he'd built. He'd see her tomorrow, no plan, just her, and for once, that was enough. The Ashwood diner buzzed with its Friday lunch crowd, truckers at the counter, families in booths, Marge weaving through with a coffee pot and a grin. Walter Grayson slid into his usual spot by the window, the notepad in his jacket pocket, Ellen, Chaos Tamer, worth fixing a quiet pulse against his chest. 3 days since he'd met her here, 2 since they'd laughed over pie, and her voice, warm, steady, real, still filled his head, louder than the boardroom noise he'd left behind in Columbus. At 52, he'd built a life on certainty, Horizon Tech, deals, control, but Ellen was a curve he hadn't planned, and he was chasing it, no map in sight. He sipped his coffee, the mug hot in his hands, scanning the door each time the bell jingled. Marge had winked when he walked in. "Walt, your trouble," back again, and dropped a burger on his table, no questions. He liked that about her, about Ashwood. Nobody dug too deep. Nobody knew he was Walter Grayson, CEO, the guy steering a tech empire 30 miles away. Here, he was Walt, flannel and a paperback, waiting for a woman who'd cracked his walls without trying. Yesterday's talk kept circling, Ellen's hustle, her library gone, her kid in Cleveland. Some things are worth fixing. He'd pushed that grant for Ashwood's library, Lila making it happen quiet, no press. It wasn't for him, not really, but for her, for the life she'd hinted at, scribbling job apps, keeping the lights on. He wanted to tell her, ease that weight, but the lie, Walt, not Walter, fixing machines, held him back. It wasn't guilt, not exactly, but a knot tightening every time he pictured her smile. The bell rang, and he looked up, heart kicking. Ellen walked in, her green coat a little cleaner today, canvas bag slung over her shoulder, dark hair loose with those gray streaks catching the noon light. She moved with that tired grace, sliding onto her counter stool, waving at Marge. "Hey," she called, voice warm. "Soup again, any chance for pie?" "Peach today," Marge shot back, grinning. "Coffee?" "Double," Ellen said, pulling her notebook out. Walter watched, his burger untouched, a grin tugging at his lips. She scribbled fast, job apps, he knew, muttering soft, crossing out lines. He wanted to speak, keep it easy like before, but his throat caught, the lie heavier now, her laugh from yesterday, Ellen Trouble Bennett, echoing in his chest. He cleared his throat, loud enough to carry. Chaos Tamer, back at it? She turned, hazel eyes brightening, her smile quick and real. Walt, you're a fixture now. Chaos never sleeps. Thought you'd be saving tractors somewhere. Her tone was playful, warm, cutting through the diner's clatter like a breeze through smoke. He chuckled, leaning forward. Tractors can wait, Pie's calling. You writing the great American novel yet? He nodded at her notebook, keeping it light. Still apps, she said, laughing short. Trying to sound like a dynamic leader without losing my soul, tough sell. She sipped her coffee, hands wrapping the mug tight. You sticking around Ashwood? Or off to fix more machines? He hesitated, the lie passing through, machinery teetering hard now. Got a job nearby, he said, dodging careful. Like the vibe here beats city noise. You ever think of leaving? She paused, her smile fading just a touch. Thought about it. After my girl left, house felt big. But Ashwood's home roots, you know? Even when it's tough. Her eyes flicked to the notebook, then back to him. You got roots somewhere, Walt? His chest tightened. Claire's voice, cold and distant, flashed in his head, his ex-wife's last words before she left. Yeah, he said, slow. Columbus, mostly. Daughters out west now. Drifted a bit, life does that. Ellen nodded, steady, like she heard the cracks he didn't say. Drifts real kids grow. Things change. You miss her. Every day, he said, honest, surprising himself. Try calling. She's got her own world now. Hurts, but gotta keep trying. Keep trying, she said, her voice soft. That's what counts. Messy's worth it. Her smile came back, small but warm, and the diner felt smaller, like it was just them, the world fading out. Marge slid a bowl of soup in front of Ellen Potato, steaming, and a slice of peach pie. On the house, she said, winking. You two behave. Trouble's his job, Ellen said, grinning at Walter. I'm innocent. Innocent? He shot back, smirking. Chaos Damer's a cover. Bet you're plotting something. Always, she said, laughing real, deep, pulling him in. He ordered pie too, and they ate in quiet, forks scraping, coffee refilled, the diner's hum wrapping them tight. Her notebook lay open, scribbles a map of her fight, job apps, hustle, lights on. He wanted to say it, libraries funded, you're not alone, but the lie stopped him, a wall he didn't know how to climb. So, she said, licking pie from her fork, toughest machine you ever fixed. What was it? He paused, the lie straining now. Toughest wasn't a machine, it was him. After Claire stopped calling, nights alone with whiskey and regret. Old combine, he said, dodging again. Shot to hell. Took weeks. Patience I didn't have. Got it running barely. She nodded, slow, her eyes sharp like she heard more. Patience is brutal, she said. Fixing's hard. People, jobs, anything worth keeping. Yeah, he said, his throat tight. Worth keeping, good way to put it. The bell jingled, a family piling in, breaking the moment. Ellen checked her phone, sighing. Shifts calling, mark it again. Thanks for the laugh. Walt keeps me sane. She grabbed her bag, tucking the notebook inside. Anytime, he said, meeting her eyes. Next pie's on you. Chaos Tamer. Deal, she said, grinning, the door swinging shut behind her. The diner dimmed, his pie half-eaten, her warmth lingering like a spark he couldn't douse. He pulled the notepad out, adding below her name, worth keeping. Back in Columbus, the office roared, meetings, budgets, a deal teetering. Lila caught him at his desk, her tablet glowing. Ashwood Libraries funded, she said, smirking. They're hiring, Ellen might get a shot. You playing matchmaker now? Nah, he said, smirking back. Just helping. Claire call. Not yet, she said, softer. Left another message. Give it time. Time, he muttered, the notepad heavy in his pocket. He dialed Claire, voicemail again. Hey, kid, he said, rough. Thinking of you, call when you can. He hung up, the silence thick. Ellen's voice drifted in, messy's worth it, steady, real, hitting harder now. He stood, pacing to the window, the skyline cold and sharp. Ashwood pulled, Ellen, her laugh, her fight. The lie, Walt, not Walter, nod, a crack he couldn't ignore. He wanted her to know CEO, mess, all of it, but it risked this, small and alive, a connection he hadn't felt since Susan, maybe ever. His phone buzzed, Mike, Ashwood tomorrow? Pie's getting old. He typed back, lunch, noon, keep it quiet. Mike replied, hooked worse than I thought. Walter smirked, slipping the notepad out. Ellen, chaos tamer, worth fixing, worth keeping. Her smile came back, warm, unguarded, widening the crack in his wall. The day blurred, calls, numbers, noise he half heard. Ellen's voice stayed, gotta keep the lights on louder than the deals, the skyline, the life he'd built. He didn't know how, didn't have a plan, but he'd see her tomorrow, and maybe, just maybe, he'd say it. Not all, not yet, just enough to keep it real, to keep her close. The Ashwood diner glowed warm under a Saturday noon sun, its windows catching the November light like a quiet promise. Walter Grayson sat in his booth, the notepad open on the table. Ellen, chaos tamer, worth fixing, worth keeping scrawled in his uneven ink. For days since he'd met her here, 3 since their pie and laughs, and her voice steady, warm, real, had rooted deep, louder than the Columbus skyline he'd left behind. At 52, he'd built a life on control, horizon tech, deals, distance, but Ellen was a tide he couldn't hold back, and he didn't want to. Today, he'd tell her not everything, not yet, but enough to keep it real, to keep her close. He sipped his coffee, the mug grounding him, the bell jingling with every new face. Marge had smirked when he walked in. Walt, you're married to this booth now, and slid a burger his way, no fuss. Ashwood's ease held him. Nobody knew he was Walter Grayson, CEO, the guy steering a tech empire 30 miles out. Here, he was Walt, flannel and a worn paperback, chasing a woman who'd cracked his walls wide open. Ellen's words, some things are worth fixing, kept circling, steady and raw, pushing him toward a truth he'd dodged too long. Yesterday's moment stayed, her grin, Ellen Trouble Bennett, her notebook full of hustle. He'd pushed the library grant, Lila confirming it'd reopen soon, Ellen's shot at steady work. He wanted to say it, lift that weight, but the lie, Walt, not Walter, fixing machines, gnawed hard now, a knot he couldn't untie alone. Claire's silence stung too, no call back, just voicemail, his daughter drifting further. Ellen's voice, Messy's worth it, hit deeper each time, a whisper worth more than the deals on his desk. The bell rang, and he looked up, heart kicking. Ellen walked in, her green coat swapped for a gray sweater, canvas bag over her shoulder, dark hair loose, gray streaks soft in the light. She moved with that tired grace, sliding onto her counter stool, waving at Marge. Hey, she called, voice warm. Got any chili today? Spicy as you like, Marge shot back, grinning. Pie too, apples fresh. Twist my arm, Ellen said, pulling her notebook out. Walter watched, his burger cooling, a grin spreading slow. She scribbled, job apps, he knew, her brow furrowed, muttering soft. He took a breath, ready to speak, but the lie held tight, his throat catching. He stood, stepping to the counter, leaning close. Chaos tamer, still fighting the good fight? She turned, hazel eyes bright, her smile quick and real. Walt, thought you'd be halfway to a tractor by now. Chaos never quits, how's your book treating you? Her tone was playful, warm, slicing through the diner's hum like a light he couldn't dodge. He chuckled, settling onto the stool beside her. Book's fine, pie's better. You writing a masterpiece yet? He nodded at her notebook, keeping it easy, heart pounding. Still begging for jobs, she said, laughing short. Trying to sound essential without losing my mind, tough one. She sipped her coffee, hands steady on the mug. You sticking around Ashwood? Or off to save more machines? He paused, the lie passing through, machinery heavy now, cracking under her gaze. Around, he said, careful. Ashwood's growing on me. Good people. He met her eyes, the truth pushing up. Got a job in Columbus, bigger than I let on. Her eyebrow lifted, curious. Bigger? What? You secretly run a garage empire. He smirked, rough, the knot loosening just a bit. Not quite. Manage things, tech stuff. Keeps me busy, but not here. Here's better. Tech, huh, she said, nodding slow, like she heard more. Sounds intense. Bet you're good at it. Why hide it? Didn't hide, he said, half true. Just wanted quiet, real quiet. You get that, right? Yeah, she said, her voice soft. Quiet's rare. Miss it from the library. You got family in Columbus. His chest tightened, Claire's silence, Susan's last fight. Daughter, he said, honest. Out west. Doesn't call much. Messed that up, trying to fix it. Ellen's eyes steadied, warm, like she saw the weight. Fixing's hard, she said. Takes time, worth it though. My girl's the same, busy, far. Keep trying, she'll hear you. Trying, he said, his throat tight. You make it sound easy. Never easy, she said, smiling faint. Just, gotta show up. Messy's okay. He nodded, her words sinking deep. Messy's okay. Marge slid chili and pie in front of Ellen, apple for him too. You too, she said, winking. Trouble squared, eat up. Blame him, Ellen said, grinning. He's the pie pusher. Guilty, Walter said, raising his fork. They ate in quiet, the diner's clatter fading, spoons on bowls, coffee pouring, life small and solid. Her notebook lay open, scribbles a fight he wanted to ease. Heard the library's hiring, he said, testing it, voice low. Might be worth a shot. She froze, fork halfway up. Hiring? Where'd you hear that? Her eyes narrowed, sharp but not mad, like she sensed a crack. Around, he said, dodging, heart kicking. Small town, talk travels. You'd run it better than anybody. Maybe, she said, slow, her smile cautious. Worth a look. Thanks, Walt. She paused, studying him. You're full of surprises, good ones. He grinned, the knot loosening more. Surprises are my thing, chaos stamers rubbing off. Careful, she said, laughing warm. I'm contagious. Trouble follows. Trouble's my speed, he shot back, and her laugh, real, deep filled the diner, cracking his wall wider. The lie, Walt, not Walter, still held, but it was fraying, her warmth pulling him toward truth. The bell jingled, a crowd piling in, breaking the spell. Ellen checked her phone, sighing. Market calls, double shift. Thanks for the tip, Walt pies on me next. She grabbed her bag, notebook tucked away. Count on it, he said, meeting her eyes. See you, Chaos Tamer. Bet on it, she said, grinning, the door swinging shut. The diner dimmed, his pie half gone, her light lingering, steady, real, worth everything. He pulled the notepad out, adding, show up. Back in Columbus, the office roared, deals closing, emails piling, a board meeting looming. Lila caught him at his desk, tablet in hand. Libraries hiring, Ellen's applying, she said, smirking. You playing fairy godmother now? Nah, he said, smirking back. Just opening doors. Claire call. Message, she said, softer. She's thinking, give her space. Space, he muttered, the notepad heavy. He dialed Claire, voicemail. Hey, kid, he said, rough. Just me love you. Whenever you're ready. He hung up, Ellen's voice drifting in keep trying. He stood, pacing to the window, the skyline cold and sharp. Ashwood pulled, Ellen, her fight, her laugh. The truth, Walter Grayson, CEO, pressed hard now, a step he couldn't dodge forever. He wanted her to know, to see him, mess and all, but it risked this, small, alive, real. His phone buzzed Mike, Ashwood Monday? Pie's official now. He typed back, lunch, noon, quiet. Mike replied, you're sunk, boss. Walter smirked, slipping the notepad out. Ellen, chaos tamer, worth fixing, worth keeping, show up. Her smile hit, warm, unguarded, splitting his wall clean through. Years later, Walter would trace it back. Ashwood, a diner booth, a woman with a notebook and a fight. They'd build a life, messy, real, worth every crack. Claire came back slow, calls turning to visits, Ellen at his side. The library thrived, Ellen running it, story hour packed. He'd tell the truth, not that day, but soon, and she'd laugh, troubles my speed and stay. But that Saturday, he just drove home, the notepad in his pocket, her voice louder than the skyline, the quiet holding him steady, real and whole. What did you think of Walter and Ellen's story? Drop your thoughts below, rate it 0 to 10. Tell us what hit you hardest. When's the last time a small moment changed your path? Someone's words, a look, a chance you took? Share it with us. What's your diner story? Keep this going because sometimes the quiet builds everything.